Hey, what's up? So, just very recently, Patrick Beverley in his, I guess, new podcast, I think it's his first episode, had this whole thing about James Harden being ranked above Dwayne Wade in the all time shooting guard list. Let's see what this dude has to say.
Because I'm putting everything out on my platform. So, and that's the vibes. So, my Twitter has been going crazy lately. I don't know if it's that I've been back or it's because of the questions I've been asking. One of my questions were the top three shooting guard of all time, right? And obviously, we know the first two. We know Michael Jordan is one. We know Kobe Bryant is two, right? We know that.
Yeah, I've never met someone for the all time shooting guard list doesn't have those guys top two. Now, I've seen at least a few, some have actually Kobe ranked above Jordan, but it's always those guys, Jordan, Kobe, top two, regardless of who you have one and who you have number two in the all-time shooting guard list. It's always those guys. Never met someone who thinks otherwise, but you never know.
That in the dough. So the third one uh caused a bit of a ruckus, right? I had James Harden as three, right? And people via Twitter called me delusional, called me crazy, like they always do. They had
I want to say though on who you have number three, it actually depends on who you think is a shooting guard because if you think Jerry West is a shooting guard, a lot of people would consider, including me, would consider Jerry West as a shooting guard. And if since I do think Jerry West is a shooting guard, I do have actually West for my third of all time shooting guard list. Of course, number four, I would have Dwayne Wade. Having James Harden number three isn't the worst. I don't think between James Harden and Dwayne Wade, I don't think it's a big gap. If you want to, I think it'd be crazy to say Wade has a huge gap. It'd also be crazy, of course, to say Harden has a huge gap. I think it's actually close.
at Dwayne Wade and Allen Iverson. Again, to me, right, those two after James Harden, like obviously, right, because we speak about Dwayne Wade, right, championship. We speak about Allen Iverson, what he did with the Philadelphia 76ers, right? Um, but I think the question to pose here is like peak versus longevity, right? And I like to think that longevity matters. How long you've been doing what you've been doing matters. It matters when it.
I do think longevity matters, but I value peak more because when you ask someone who would you much rather have, of course you're gonna take that best version of a player. For example, LeBron James is has the most no longevity. I think everyone can agree with that. But no one is gonna say, "Oh, let me have 2023 LeBron James or 2000 or even 2020 LeBron James over a 2012 or 2013 or even 2018 LeBron James." If you ask someone, who would you much rather have in their prime, out of Dwayne Wade and James Harden? No one's gonna say, of course, I want 2017 or 2018 Dwayne Wade. Same thing with James Harden. No one's gonna pick today's James Harden over a 2017 or 2019 James Harden. Another thing, the issue I have with longevity is that unfortunately, and Dwayne Wade is one of these players, some players just get unlucky. Even before Dwayne Wade was in the NBA, he was battling injuries. And unfortunately, Dwayne Wade just his prime was cut short due to battling all kinds of injuries. I think he had like a really bad knee injury around 2014 or 2015. Maybe it was 2012. And that's when his prime pretty much ended. I'm not trying to take anything away from James Harden's, his longevity, but I'm willing to bet that if Dwayne Wade wouldn't have battled with all those injuries, he would have had at least a few more seasons being a very good player. And longevity just happens to be way more common nowadays. Look at LeBron, of course, Harden, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry. Um, Heck, even Chris Paul by his 16th season, 2021, was still a very good player. Longevity just way more common nowadays. It's way more common within the last 10 to 15 years.
Comes to professionalism, right? Taking care of your body. Is your body still able to go? I think I'm 37, so James Harden has to be 36, 37, same age. Like, so for him to continue to lead a team, continue to play a ton of games, right? Like his availability is there. Always, it's always been there, right? Um, they've changed the rule for him multiple times, right? His IQ of the game, how he's able to dissect the game and get to the free throw line. I don't think a lot of people know this, but he's a statistically he's a better shooter than Ray Allen. He's right under Steph Curry when it comes to threes, like made. He's too.
Um, I'm gonna have to disagree. I I know James Harden. I'm sure by now he has more career threes than Ray Allen, but that's because he attempts way more threes. Ray Allen, in his prime, was averaging like between or like 7, 8 3-point attempts per game, shooting around 40% from three, and of course around 90% from the free throw line.
All time, right? We talk about a person who's started his career uh, coming off the bench behind two Hall of Famers, first ballots, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, right? Found this niche, went to multiple teams, did things that we've never seen players do. 50-point triple doubles, 40-point triple doubles, right? And I think people, the argument with this is, okay, D Wade had a championship, and I'm from Chicago. I love.
Credit to what James Harden did with the Rockets. Pretty much every season, as far as I know, from 2013 to like 2020, as the first option, Harden led the Rockets to the playoffs 2 or 3 times. I think 2015 and 2018 took him to the conference finals, put up these crazy numbers. He had one season averaging 36 points, another season where he averaged nearly like a 30-point triple double, always often in the MVP conversation. 2013 and 2020, what James Harden did during that stretch was really impressive. There's no doubt about that. One of the best offensive primes I have ever seen, and one of the best offensive primes of all time. Not trying to take anything away from James Harden. He definitely deserves credit for what he did during that period.
Dwayne Wade, obviously, right? So I F with D Wade, like this. That's the homie. But when it comes to like a player, right? You're talking about a player that can score it, a player that can get to the free throw line, a player that can pass it out of pick and roll. A lot of people were going under on D Wade pick and rolls. I ain't go front. Like, you feel me? A lot of people was letting D Wade have that. Yes, does D Wade have clutch gene? You're absolutely right. Yes, at times have we seen D Wade be more clutcher than James Harden? Yes, we have. But when we talk about a better player, like a better player, like James Harden is a better player than Dwayne Wade, right? And
I want to say I think it's close, but when compared to primes, like Dwayne Wade from '05 to 2011, which to me, when he was at his best, that's his prime, Dwayne Wade was a really good scorer. I think he was average around 27 points, regular season and playoffs, 27, 28 points. Of course, he's not good as a playmaker as James Harden, but Wade was still a pretty solid playmaker. And Dwayne Wade is one of the best defensive guards. He was one of the best defensive guards in his era. Like, the defensive gap between Dwayne Wade and James Harden is huge. Does Harden have the edge on offense? Yes, but the gap that Wade has on defense is bigger, and it's not even debatable. Like, Dwayne Wade, 25 2011, was a really good scorer, solid playmaker, while being elite on defense. In 2009, Dwayne Wade averaged 30 points, finished top three in MVP, and finished third in Defensive Player of the Year, while averaging around like 5 rebounds and about 7 to 8 assists. Like, James Harden 2019, that's probably his most known. People would say that's his peak when he averaged 36 points. And as great as Harden was in 2019, I would much rather have 2009 Dwayne Wade. I'm getting elite offense and elite defense. Someone who's averaging 30 points while also giving me elite defense. There was never a time where James Harden was both in a conversation as being a MVP caliber player while also being an all defensive caliber defender. Dwayne Wade through most of his prime, 2005 to 2011, was MVP caliber player, level player, and all defensive caliber defender.
And people get it confused because they think about um the way he won a championship, and you can't take that away, right? But championship is a team, right? That's a team award. I'm talking about individual award. Who's a better player? And you have to go individually. You have to go with James Harden. I don't even think it's no disrespect to AI and Dwayne Wade. I don't even think it's close. Like I think James Harden really might be probably one of the best scorers this game has ever seen.
I agree. James Harden, he is one of the greatest scorers in the NBA history. From his prime, he's averaging about 30 points. He broke scoring records. He broke that streak with 30 plus, you know, games scored, most consecutive games scoring 30 plus points. He has the highest scoring average in a season since Michael Jordan from 1987 when he averaged 36 in 2019. I agree with that. But to say it's not close, I think that's going too far. I would even say that vice versa, if this dude were to say, "Oh, Wade," or anyone were to say Wade is above Harden and Simon Close, I would still even say that's crazy. But to say that, like, oh, it's Simon Close between Harden and Wade, it's just disrespect to Dwayne Wade. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Dwayne Wade. I mean James Harden, because like I said, between 2013 to 2020, you know, when Harden did his most damage to the league, when he was at his best, it it was impressive, okay? But Dwayne Wade from 2011 was really good. I mean, this is someone who's one of the best, maybe the best slasher in NBA history, who had that insane athleticism and body control, who could hit mid-range jumpers from pull-ups, step backs. I mean, when Dwayne Wade drove to the basket, he was unstoppable during his prime. And like I said, one of the best defensive guards, especially in his era. I mean, Dwayne Wade gave the Miami Heat and their fans so much hope during his prime. I mean, could you imagine if the Miami Heat didn't have Dwayne Wade from 2005 to 2011?
And I think we need to applaud that. So again, and I'm only referring to Twitter and questions that people ask me. They say Pat Bev 21 on Twitter. Um, who is your MVP right now, Pat Bev? Who's your top?
Okay, so other people respond to this. Dwayne Wade, I don't know what he said, but Dwayne Wade actually responded to this. And like I said in the beginning, I do think it's actually close. There's no huge gap between either. Like, Wade doesn't have a huge gap. Of course, James Harden doesn't have a huge gap. I think it's close. But it just seems like a lot of people, including, I guess, this dude, Patrick Beverley, has or have forgotten how great Dwayne Wade was when he was in his prime. I just, man, it's just, and yes, I know Dwayne Wade doesn't have James Harden's longevity, but actually, I want to show you guys something. So, of course, like I said, 2005 to 2011 was when Wade was at his best. 2012, he sacrificed being a second option. He was still a pretty good player. 2013, he was still solid. Around that time is when he started to slow down. And this is why I'm not really, I don't value longevity quite as high compared to a prime or a peak. Because unfortunately, yes, you got to take care of your body, but a player can get unlucky. And that's what happened to Dwayne Wade. He just unfortunately got unlucky battling all these injuries. If he wouldn't have battled all those injuries, Dwayne Wade would have had at least a few more seasons being a very good player. I'm not gonna say, oh, he would have a LeBron or KD longevity, but he would. I mean, come on, he would have at least 3, maybe 4 more seasons of being very good. Just man, like let's see what Wade averaged between 25 to 2011. Yes, so it's 26 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. And let's see what about the playoffs. Yeah, his numbers go up. And yes, I know 2006 is most known run because that was the run he won championship. But 2005, when the Heat got to the conference finals, really good run, averaging 27 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. You know, even 2011 was actually pretty good, averaging about 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. And of course, if LeBron would have been a choker in those finals in 2011, Dwayne Wade would have had another finals MVP. So I have Dwayne Wade above James Harden. Like, give me as great as Harden was in his prime, I'll take Dwayne Wade in his prime over James Harden.